G'day traders, welcome to wrap up of Tuesday the 3rd of April. On the daily chart here, this is Tuesday, and you can see we had this pullback and we're still heading up towards, potentially looking to go towards these highs or even make higher highs, and we're getting this continuation of this buyers trend. So I'd still be very wary of the buyers and approach today thinking that the buyers are certainly around and be more influenced by that side of things. So here on the 5-minute chart, also just something to remember too, this area here, basically from 2 o'clock onwards we had an FOMC announcement, so the market really, this is all news driven, so from 2 o'clock onwards we just had a news influenced market, so to be completely disregarded really, but up until there we're looking for certain setups. And what happened going back to the start of the day, again what we've been seeing a little bit is up until about an hour and a half before lunch we had this very much sideways period where the market really didn't know what it wanted to do. You can see on the dailies, we are still in a buyer's market, but we're approaching those highs again, and I think it looks like the buyers are losing a little bit of puff. They're not as strong as they were. They're still stronger than the sellers, that's for sure, but it's kind of we're coming towards these highs again, and they're trying to decipher whether they actually want to start going down. So that's, I think we get a bit of this to-ing and froing, and there wasn't a lot happening there. Then all of a sudden this trend started to form, and we started to push down. From there we pulled back, but remembering on the daily chart again we're still fairly influenced by buyers, so you just got to be careful looking for sell trades or pullbacks when the dailies are quite still influential on the buyer side. And it was actually around this area here before this news came, as we came out of lunch we're actually starting to look for a buy, and I wanted to bring up a Russell chart and show you why, because looking at the ES chart here, it looks quite, if you didn't look at other indices and you didn't have a daily influence, you'd look at this chart and go, yep, buyers are around, and here's a 5-minute sell coming up here, and there's great potential for this market to push down. But you can see what happened is the market pushed up, and around this area we were looking for a buy. Of course, this is again before this news came out. But to show you the Russell, so this is the Russell chart. So here's the opening of the Russell, same thing, we had this up and down, sideways kind of period. Then it's pushed down, but unlike the ES, see how the ES is pushed down quite easily and pushed lower. You can see the Russell was resisting sellers all day long, and I was watching this, and as we came outside of lunch, you can see this area where this sideways area earlier, we barely got below that, and every chance it got to push up it did, and then when other markets are pushing down it really resisted that, and the Russell is definitely showing influence that it wanted to start start buying, and that's for the reason why in the afternoon period we started to look at buyers, and you can see this area here, where the markets pull back. You can see on the same chart on the Russell it's pulled back a lot higher, and see it's starting to break up through resistance levels. That's very much a buyer's sort of setup or a buyer's influence, and we're seeing support levels starting to hold, so it's not breaking too much lower, but as it's pulling back it's breaking up to resistance, and that's, if you start seeing that on other markets, it's a bit of a look into the future and an indication that we could be heading up. And what happened is then all of a sudden we started to get a break up here, and you can see this same area of the ES, the Russell started to break a lot higher, and it had this real upward move like it was going to head up, and at that stage there we were contemplating a buy, but at the same time we weren't prepared to take it because we knew this FOMC announcement was coming, and that in the end, let's get rid of this Russell chart, was what completely changed the markets. And from there it wasn't a natural market. Obviously some bad news came out in regards to interest rates, and from there we pushed a lot lower. It toed and fro, then it popped back up again. It looked like I wanted to push lower. We're getting pretty massive candles and pretty big movement, and then right at the end of the day it pushed back to where it basically started the sell-off from when that news came out. So the afternoon was very news influenced, and there wasn't any opportunities, or even though it looked like there's lots of opportunities, wasn't prepared to get in because I just wasn't sure of the direction what the market wanted to do. It looked like I was really trying to decipher that news and decide what I wanted to do, and as a result, at different stages, the ES looked like one head up, but the Russell kept looking like it wanted to head down. So there's this real contradiction. So to show you on the 1-minute chart, we've had this toing and froing, sideways action, then we pushed down. This is where we started to get the pullback, and from here it started to have a buyer's influence, and you can see it's pushing up, and then pulling back without any power, and then all of a sudden we've got all this power, and all the other markets started to shift to the upside. So if the news wasn't there, I'm sure this market had great potential to head back up and start going high, and that's what we're looking for. But as soon as that news came out, you can see all of a sudden there's a flurry of power points, a rush down, a pull back, push down again, we pull back. As the market's pulling back here, it's starting to break up through support, so that's showing buyers around. But at the same time, when we got this bit of a push down here, the Russell, it was pushing down to its lows. So you had one, that's what I meant by one marking one to push low and one pushing up, and it ended up pushing a little bit higher. But that sort of area where it's news influenced, it's very hard to trade, so to be left alone. But hopefully, in regards to Russell, again, disregarding that afternoon area, but it's a good example, and that's why I wanted to bring up the Russell chart today, as to how it can really give you a bit of a look into the future. And unless you're looking at other indices, sometimes it's like trading with blinkers on. So you really want to watch those other indices. And this market was keen on heading back up. We had daily markets heading up, other markets heading up, and it really looked that way. And that came from the other indices. But anyway, that's a wrap up for Tuesday. I'll speak to you guys Wednesday.